So yeah, we imagine that those masters were superhumans, superheroes, and in a sense they were, right? Uh, but we all have that inner power to do something outside of our comfort zone, because the first step for Bach probably was also to surpass his own current level. He never did something twice. Probably he once he managed to do something that is working, he always tried to create something new, and this is quite scary, because if it's working, why change it? You could do like some of his students did, like writing all over the same type of compositions. But if you do that, you know, our advancements will not be as great, and contribution to the humanity.
So, as you know, coming back to the original question, how many times do you need to improvise? I think it's up to you actually to decide.
As long as you are, as many times as you can comfortably say that that you're not sacrificing perhaps your sight reading also practice, because sight reading is also important.
And the quality of the service, and as long as congregation is not complaining about your improvisations.
Yes. For example, when I go to St. John's Church, when they invite me, which is very rare nowadays because they prefer guitar music and synthesizers, and just once in a while when those guitars are not able to show up, they ask me. And when I'm able and I'm in town, then I go and play everything on the organ, almost nothing from the score, because it's so rare. I want to show the organ side of the service, and everybody knows that. That this is me who is playing, and this is me who is specializing in improvisations. You know but for everyone is different, right? Maybe David at first would be brave enough to improvise just once a month, if he plays 4 Sundays, or maybe twice a month. It's not a big deal. You could even improvise once a week, just for one setting, for communion, or part of the communion. If a communion is like 5 minutes long or more, sometimes you could do 2-minute improvisation, and then the rest of it could be hymns or service music. What do you think, Osh?
Yes, that's right. I think that's a very good suggestion.
You don't have to be, you don't have to go all in that with improvisations. You can just dip your toes in the water and see if it's something you can pursue in the future, if it's something you can envision perfecting later on in years to come, maybe in decades to come. What do you think, Osha?
Yes, I think that's very nice. Although, don't improvise too much, you don't forget to play a repertoire as well.
Yeah, that's what I
So
say.
you always, need to find the right balance.
Because improvisation feeds your repertoire playing. You are starting to recognize patterns in written down compositions. You're starting to look at how the piece is put together, so that you could also learn from that piece and maybe steal some ideas and use them in your own playing, and vice versa. When you improvise, right, it also helps you to play the repertoire.
That's right. I think it goes both ways.
For example, remember, Osha, when I played Passacaglia by Bach the last time for Bach's birthday recital, and I had this faintest idea at the last minute, basically, just before his recital. I never practiced this type of playing, but I've thought of playing a cadenza between or after the fermata towards the end of the fugue in Passacaglia, where the Neapolitan chord is held. And maybe I have heard somebody do that maybe decades ago. Could be. Or maybe I've heard that do in other pieces. But I never done this before in Passacaglia. And what was your reaction, Osha? Without complimenting me too much. Of course.
Well, I was surprised. I was shocked a little bit. I liked it. It was so dramatic that almost made me smile.
And of course, since I never done this before on that piece, I had to come out of this cadenza somehow skillfully, and I didn't. Anyone who heard the recording might have felt maybe that I was searching for the rise arpeggio or the rise final note, to finish the flourish. But I didn't panic. I found that note. It wasn't how I would do in the future. And actually, I did practice for a couple of weeks later on this Passacaglia for another performance. And I played this cadenza every time with something different. And I don't know which version was better. So you could add to existing organ compositions too. So if you've done this, with style and skill.
Yes. Because sometimes cadenzas are risky, because if we will be completely out of style, we might ruin the entire piece.
Remember we heard in our Philharmonic Hall?
Yes, that's what I thought about it. Yes.
Written down cadenza for what? For Mozart's piano concerto.
But it was a professional composer who did it, and actually he is quite famous in Lithuania. And he wrote a cadenza in his style, completely, out of Mozart's style, and I think it was quite disgusting, at least for my taste. What do you think?
Yes and no. It's so surprising. It's actually, it was shocking, but
I felt like like you are eating soup and you suddenly find a worm in your soup, or a fly.
What if you like worms?
Well, I don't.
Then this is like a delicacy, right?
Fui. Yuck.
Yuck. Nice. So guys, be fearless. Basically, whatever you do, you will not be as good at the beginning as later on. If you have played organ repertoire for years and now want to dip your toes in improvisation, you will inevitably play worse than repertoire, and you will feel, oh, I'm not good, I shouldn't even try, right? That's what I thought at the beginning. And in fact, somebody wrote about my improvisations that, how they say,
essentially very ugly in places
after one competition. You see? So after this comment, somebody with poor self-esteem might have stopped playing it all, altogether.
Yes.
Yeah.
But now that man is dead who commented on you like this, but you are still alive and still, improvising.
Exactly. So continue practicing every day, even as little as 15 minutes. And in 1 year, you will probably see a miracle happen, right? It's a nice ending of our conversation, because remember, when you practice,
miracles happen.